Well, good morning, everybody. Saturday morning here, and I've got a little project I'm going to do on the baler. It's going to bring you guys along, and hopefully somebody with these balers and learn something from this. But I had that E512 air code, and I couldn't get rid of it. It's kind of been haunting me for a couple years. I ended up calling the dealer. They sent a technician down, and I'll show you guys the repair they did. They just found a bad wire going to the bell size indication module, I guess what you call it. Just had rubbed on the frame, and yeah, rubbed a hole in the wire. And anyway, the technician was great, did a great job. He was only here 15 minutes, was able to find it, so that worked out really well. But we did an inspection on the baler, decided to replace the knife on it, and I wanted to show you guys these bales. And the technician looked at it and says, you know, the way that knife works, it really needs to cut that net wrap like really quick and clean. And when he looked at the knife on mine, he goes, it's pretty thrashed, you better change it out. So, and I got looking at these bales, and it makes sense what he's saying. I was going to show you guys. So look at the net wrap on this bale right here. You can see the end of the wrap is there, and see how it's just, there is nothing square or straight about it. You can see all these frays like this right here. I'll show you when I get back to the baler, but I had all kinds of trouble with having this frayed net just wrap on a couple of the rolls. What a hassle. Go through a couple knives trying to get that cut off. But you can see the bales. So that guy there, you can see that one's about the same. It's just, there's nothing square or straight about the way that knife is cutting. There's another bale, it's all over the place. Another bale over here that's pretty good. I can show you guys what I'm talking about. So right here, see this, how it's really frayed? That stuff is catching on the rolls. I think it is. But I mean, you guys can see that's the end of that wrap. It's just almost shredded. So I'll go back to the baler. I'm up in the stackyard right now, but I'll go back to the baler. We're gonna change that the knife out and the brush. And the brush isn't in terrible shape, I don't think. It was only $100 or something for a new brush, so I thought I'd change that out. But I'll take you guys along. But I found it interesting when the guy says that knife needs to cut really square and clean, and I look at my bales and go, that knife ain't cutting clean. So anyway, let's go back to the baler. All right, guys, got into this brush and knife assembly. I'll show you what I'm doing here. So this guy's the brush, and I just zipped those bolts off. There's just 4 bolts and washers. Then that brush just lifts out. Pretty simple to change. The reason I'm changing it is, see how that brush, all these bristles and stuff, is just bent back. You know, I think probably no reality that brush isn't hurting anything, but I'm into it. You can see that it's kind of been damaged that way. So we're gonna put a new brush in it, and then this piece right here is the knife. And I've pulled that off, sprayed a little penetrating oil on them, try to get those bolts out. So we'll see how it goes. There we go, got her out. So the technician told me that this knife should be sharp as a razor. And I suppose you could cut your finger on it if you tried hard enough, but it is not what you'd call sharp. And I've read some things that guys are sharpening these and having success. The technician told me they don't have that good of luck doing it. So I just decided to buy a new one. So anyway, we'll go grab the new knife. So interesting, it's shipped with a protective, it's almost like a hard plastic coating on it. Yeah, that thing is freaking razor sharp. And the technician told me, so be careful when you put them in because they are super, super sharp. that old one. I wonder if this is not making my bales not look the way they should. I'm gonna grab some towels and clean that off real good underneath. All right, guys, what I decided to do is, I don't know where this baler came from, but wherever it was super high moisture because this thing is just kind of rusty. Pulled that off, and there's a little bit of surface rust underneath that. So I'm just gonna take a minute, wire brush it, and then spray a little paint on it.
Broke the handle. $5 wire brush set from Farmer Craig. Just get what we pay for it.
I just mainly want to get all the dirt and any of the surface rust I can off with the wire brush. Got some good John Deere green paint from the local hardware store. All right, so I'm gonna call that good on the paint. I'll show you guys another little project I'm gonna go. I'm gonna give that, I mean, it's quick dry paint. I think it dries like 15 minutes, but I think that's a good thing to do. You guys see, I just put a little coat of paint on that. I'm gonna show you something else on this I find a little bit interesting. You guys see that top bearing? See how the paint's all gone from it? I think your paint is almost your temperature indication. The technician told me that top roll is the one that they replace a ton of bearings out of that top roll. And you can see that's what's happened on that one. The bearings failed, paint's all burned off, now it's all rusty. I'm gonna repaint that. There's a few places you can see in there, the paint's all gone. I'm just gonna go through and touch up the paint on this old kid. Another place down here, paint's gone. So I truly believe all this rust, partly, I mean, the baler must have come from, you know, eastern Texas, Louisiana, someplace that gets a ton of rain or something. I'm not sure where it came from. But I think it's almost just care. I keep this baler super clean. And if guys running these balers know that every flat spot on that machine, if you bale 5 bales, is covered with hay leaves. And then, of course, if it doesn't get cleaned off, hay leaves sit there, it gets rain, then that's what causes all that rust. So I'm just gonna take a minute, we'll touch up the paint. All right, guys, so I got a little paint done. Of course, it's not the right shade of John Deere green. Oh well, it don't matter. But all these flat surfaces here, all the paint was pretty much gone on them on both sides of the machine. This little cover, there should be a cover over these hydraulics right here, and there's not. I'm not sure why. I don't know what they could have done to do that. But anyway, this was pretty rusty underneath, so I just give it all a shot of paint. I just think it's good maintenance. Like I say, those bearings, that paint is kind of your temperature gun. The paint was completely gone off that top one. So I think with a good coat of paint, keep it on your baler, when that paint starts to bubble, you know you've lost a bearing. Alrighty, so we're gonna get back to putting this new knife in. You guys can see I put that coat of paint here, it's dried now. We'll just stick this puppy in and it's super sharp. So it was a little bit of a puzzle to get in there. I think I dingered the threads up on that one bolt a little bit. You know, to talk about these cordless tools, I mean, this is kind of big and heavy, but it's a pretty powerful tool, but it's easy to control. I can walk them nuts on there just slow and easy, and it's just real easy to control the variable speed on it. So here's a new brush. Of course, for me it looks like a concrete broom. If you guys have poured concrete, that's what these brooms are, these real thin ones like that. That's what it reminds me of, but pretty simple piece of aluminum with some bristles on it. I know that it's really important to keep these clean, and I think if a guy kept it clean, you wouldn't probably ever have to replace it. But anyway, they're not that much money. I decided to put one in. Alright, I got the brush installed. I'm going to show you guys on this brush. So these holes are slotted. And I think probably in theory, as the brush wears, you can slide it up into place. Or, you know, to tighten that clearance up a little bit. The old brush was adjusted in that same place. All the way out is what I would call it. So, I don't know. I'd be interested to see if people are actually sliding them up as they wear. But, who knows. All right, guys, well, about done with the baler. I'm gonna just give it a good quick grease job on it and get it parked. We're gonna be baling hay. I don't know, this hay's shooting up. Seems like it's doing really good. Probably another 3 or 4 weeks. So I'll do a follow-up video because I want to see how this new knife cuts that net wrap. You know, I showed you guys the bales at the beginning of the video here that they're not square, they're not straight. So I'm hoping that this will be an improvement on it. So what I did is just replace the knife. I think I showed you guys how I replaced the brush on this also. I'm gonna replace the little brake on it. I don't really think it needed to. I'll flip it around and show you guys. So here's the old brake. You can see the grooves in it. My neighbor that's had a baler like this for several years, he said that when they start getting grooves in them, you need to replace them. I think this guy had a lot of meat left on it. The new brake was 20 bucks. I don't know what it was. Real simple to put on. So there's a stack of shims here on the back of it. I think what I'm gonna do is just watch as I start seeing any grooves at all. I'm gonna start putting the shims on this side, and that's how the technician told me the whole system is designed. So put that on. It was real simple. I actually had to pull this pin and pull this arm off to get it out of there. It was kind of jammed in there in a weird way, but it was pretty simple. So, you know, this old equipment, well, it was funny, that technician asked me, he said, how many bales are on this? I told him 18,000 and some change. He said, these balers are solid. He goes, you've got another 18,000 left in it with some maintenance. So anyway, I think what I might do this winter is take it to the dealership and have them replace all the belts and bearings. He looked at the pickup on this, which is another kind of high maintenance item. He said, man, the pickup looks great on it. We've seen where some of the bearings have failed. My neighbor had that done, and he said that was money well spent. You know, my little operation, if I did that, I would probably never have trouble with this baler again. I've replaced 2 sets of bearings on it so far. And I think it's kind of a thing in these round balers to just take them out there and put new belts and bearings on it. The belts on this are good, I think. There's no splices or anything in them. So I replaced the one belt because it was looking kind of bad. But I don't know, we'll just have to see how the checkbook looks come winter time. But appreciate you guys watching. Please leave some comments if you have experience with these balers. I mean, every piece of equipment in the world has got its own little niches. These balers are no different. So, oh, I know one thing I forgot to show you guys is what the air code was causing. Oh, it's on the other side of the baler. Something very simple. A little frustrating to me, but I'm not that great with electronics. But so this right here is the bale size indication limit switch. So that's what it was. He troubleshot it, found 2 bad wires, did a new splice on them, called it good. Only $700 for that. Nothing too serious. Alrighty, well, gonna call this the end of the day. Had a great little morning. The weather's been great. We had some rain last night. It's super humid, but it's a little bit cooler. Still pretty good hay growing weather, I believe. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe.